Good afternoon, Long Beach Unified Community. Thank you for tuning in today. The Parent University team is pleased to bring you two members of LBUSD's Marketing and Media Services, Chris Itzen and Myrna Aguilar, as well as the School Safety Operations Manager, Cameron Smith, to you today. They will be discussing digital citizenship and social media. The comments section will be open in approximately 10 minutes. You can type your questions for the presenters there. You may need to refresh your screen in order to view this section. We will have a member of Parent University monitoring and answer your questions. And now I'm going to hand it over to Chris Itzen.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Itzen. I'm the Assistant Director for Marketing and Media Services. I'm excited today to talk through just some tips on social media for safety and even for supporting your students in college and career. So I'm going to start with this presentation. I'll be speaking for a bit, and then one of our producers, Myrna Aguilar, is going to come up, and then Cameron from School Safety will come up after that. And at the end, we will have a Q&A for any larger questions that you have for us. All right, can we cue? There we go. All right, so just a little bit quick of who we are so you know. We used to be called Multimedia Services, and we are the hub social media oversight and development for the entire district. We collaborate with the Public Information Office. We do district marketing and media production, live streams such as the live stream you're watching right now. Our team is actually working on. We run the LBUSD cable channels. We're service providers for sites and departments for different videos and media, and we report directly to the superintendent. So let's take a little bit of a quiz. You can put this in the, wait, no, I'm going to skip this, sorry. I'm going to move this up. Bear with me for 1 minute. There we go. All right. We're going to get into some tips on social media. So why it matters when you're talking about your student in social media, why social media is important. So there are some benefits. Sometimes with social media, we think it's a terrifying, scary world. We hear about all the bad things that happen, and we get a little nervous about it. But really, social media can be a very positive thing when it comes to inclusion and support. And so some benefits, current research, especially coming out of Pew, Common Sense Media, and many of the other groups that research social media and what it's doing to our culture, they talk about it that supports the use of social media to foster social inclusion among users who may feel excluded or are seeking a welcoming community. And so for an example, members of the LGBTQIA+ community might find like-minded people on social media, students with disabilities, people seeking support groups. We were working with a team that has a school district in Kansas, and there was a young lady who identified under that moniker LGBTQIA+. She had about 800 people in the town she lived in, and that community really wasn't really supportive of her identity, and she was able to find a lot of connections with individuals through social media and other online platforms to connect with people. So you can, by finding like-minded people, you can use social media to actually connect and find some inclusion. It also can provide exposure to new ideas and information and raising awareness of current events and different issues. And interactive media can also provide opportunities for the promotion of community participation and civic engagement. We're noticing even in education now that our students are much more politically aware and engaged than they ever have been. And it's really due to having this real-time connections to be able to look through social media and find different political beliefs, different things on the news, different updates on things. So then on some of the negative side, there are, of course, some pitfalls, of course. So adolescents' displays on social media, they can include a portrayal of unhealthy behaviors, high-risk behaviors, substance abuse, sexual behaviors, self-injury, and eating disorder issues. And peer viewers of such content, they may see these behaviors as normative or desirable. So if they're scrolling through unhealthy content, they might start to see that as something that's normal and take on some of those issues. And so we want to always be really careful about knowing what our students are looking at. And also cyberbullying and traditional bullying, they overlap. Back in the day, you'd go to school and you may deal with bullying, but then you leave and and you're not dealing with it for the rest of the day. In the cyber world, it's 24 hours a day, any time of the day, and it's constantly happening. And I always tell kind of a little bit of a scary story for this one. So there was a student in another district, and they did not use social media. Their parents didn't allow them to even have a cell phone. They didn't know anything about social media. And they came into class one morning, to their English class. As they walked in the door and sat down, they felt something was weird. There were students kind of snickering at them, looking at them funny. And they knew something was off. And so as they sat down to start doing their warm-up that the teacher had assigned, another student leaned over and showed them a video of that student in a compromising position in the locker room that somebody had taken without their consent, posted on social media, and it had gone viral in that community. And so at that moment, this kid realizes that this video of them is on social media that they didn't even know about. They have a crisis. The teacher doesn't know what's going on and thought the kids were just messing around. Corrects the student to get back to work. It turned into a larger altercation, and it had some really bad consequences. And so The scary thing about social media is everybody has cameras. There's a lot of people on social media. It's something we really need to always be aware of, all the different parts of social media, because it can affect you even if you're not somebody who engages in it. So there's some data here, and it's a little hard to see on this screen, but just as researchers have been looking into social media now, and on average 13 to 17-year-olds check their phone or their social media, 27% of them check it hourly. That's kind of the biggest number. So students are constantly on there, and it's affecting even the way that they interface. If you look from 2012 to 2018 in some of the data, you'll see that in-person interface, face-to-face, where students are comfortable talking to other students or adults, has dropped by about 20% because they're so used to being on their phones. You've seen texting has kept about an average. It's stayed about the same over that amount of time because it's another social interface. It's a closed situation, but we're seeing that unfortunately students are less and less able to engage face-to-face if they're constantly using social media on the time, and they can kind of become stuck in that world. All right, and so now Myrna's going to come up here and talk a little bit about some good stuff, safety and self-image with social media, and how you can use it to market for college and career. So I'm going to pass this over to Myrna.
Thank you, Chris. Hi, everyone. My name is Myrna Aguilar, and thanks for joining us today. So today I'm going to talk about your student and social media. What are some safety and self-image best practices that we can use, and also how to market for college and career as a high school student getting ready to apply for college admissions. So some of the best practices for privacy and safety. So one of the things that social media automatically does is it tells you where you are posting your location. So social media platforms allow our locations to be posted. Students might use these features to connect with their friends or even strangers to brag about where they are and where they've been. So we definitely encourage your student to check the privacy and location settings on their apps. There's a lot of online apps where students can make friends with people from all over the world. And you just want to make sure that you know who your students are friending. Also, another thing, one of the practices that you can do with your student is make sure you take a look at how much time they are spending on social media. You want to watch the clock, because social media is a great way to distract students from homework, from playing sports, music, or even reading. And another thing that we definitely want to suggest is to make sure that you link your App Store accounts or any account linked to your email. So if your student has their own phone, those notifications will come to your email, so you know what application they are trying to download. And it's a good thing, a good reminder to also continue to check what they are downloading and asking for permission as well. Also, another thing you might want to consider is talk to your student about what are some of the popular apps, what are the popular sites that they are interested in, and that way you can keep an eye on that too. And that way, and ask them what their friends are looking at. And if they talk about their friends, they'll probably be able to open up a little more to you as well. And then share what you're using. Share with your student what are some of the apps, or what some of the videos that you like, and what your social media pages look like as well. It's always fun to share and reciprocate, of course. Teenagers might be a little more difficult with sharing, but it's a good way to break the ice on that. And then the best thing for best practices is you definitely want to make sure that you take a break from social media. We are very dependent on our phones, and social media is a great way to get lost in all the craziness that's going on in the world. So it's always a good reminder to just take that time for yourself, take that time and spend it with your student, and to just de-stress with everything that's going on. So self-image and safety. So students' online reputation, you want to make sure that you remind your students that what they post is going to be a permanent online reminder that potential employees might look into, that potential college recruiters might look into. So you want to make sure that they are doing smart choices and posting positive things on their pages as well. And anything that they create or communicate can be cut, altered, pasted, and sent around so it can mean something else from what they originally intended to mean. And you also want to make sure that students avoid drama. Even parents want to avoid drama because there's always the cyberbullying. You don't want to have anything embarrassing that you wrote or anything embarrassing that your student wrote and let it bite you. So you don't want to do that. And then our next page, your student and social media promotion and marketing for college and career. So now this is where social media definitely has a positive spin. So one of the things that we like to talk about is how can a student market themselves, especially if a high school student is getting ready to apply for college. If you're, I'm going to say you're an engineering student, if you are working on a really awesome engineering project, go ahead and post it, take pictures, talk about it. If you are doing an internship, take pictures, tag your internship company. Just all those positive spins that you can give to the companies would be a great way to have that attention and to have that positivity profile that you have on your social media pages. And when you have a social media page, you also want to make sure you create a nice little biography, a little bio, like a little elevator pitch. Hi, my name is Myrna. I'm an engineering student, and this is what I want to do when I grow up, or something like that. Just something positive to have as well. And then another thing we would definitely like to recommend is to follow schools, universities that high school students are interested in. Tag them if they're doing something creative or different, unique, that'll get the school's attention and recruiters' attention as well. But you also want to make sure that you are careful of who you follow and as what you post as well. So, and who you endorse. So another good positive, another good thing about social media is you want to make sure it's a great potential for learning and research and conducting all these different projects that will give your social media page a really good boost. And if you are a high school student interested in creating your portfolio, you can also apply or get an account on LinkedIn, but you definitely have to be at least 16 years old. And so things to watch out for. Now, Chris, is that going to be you?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll do a double presentation on this part. So I can press the button if you want.
All right, so a couple things to look out for our parents, and if there's students watching, you probably know what I'm talking about, is there are accounts called Finsta or spam accounts where sometimes a parent will say, hey, I want to know your social media to their child, and then they'll make extra ghost accounts or spam accounts that they'll use to interact in other ways that you're not aware of. So really have those conversations and build that level of trust with your students that you and your children so that you know what they're using. Some things to look out for are TikTok, Instagram story or Reels, and Snapchat. Students will make videos on there, and those videos disappear typically after 24 hours, but all it takes is for me to screen capture on my phone, and that can live permanently. And so if somebody puts something inappropriate and they think, well, it's going to disappear in 24 hours, who cares? Someone can screen capture that, and now it's going to live forever. And so be really careful of that. And then really doing your own research, and a simple Google search can do it, to look for what other apps are out there that are social media you might not know about. There's a lot of anonymous apps like Whisper and YOLO and Kik that they provide a level of anonymity so people you don't know who you're interacting with, and that can be very dangerous. And these social media platforms, unfortunately, there's a new one every couple months, right? They're growing and growing and growing. And so you really want to look for some resources to keep an eye on what's happening in the industry. CommonSenseMedia.org is a fantastic website, very comprehensive, tons of articles. They have a newsletter. They'll send you updates on everything to do with social media and just supporting your students using it safely. And then there's a great article on braveparenting.net called Social Media Lies. It's the most common lies or errors that students will say about social media. So it's just, as a parent, keeping you up to date with what's happening. These are some simple resources. And then Myrna's going to talk about the last one, which is a social media survival guide.
So a social media survival guide is a really interesting book that I borrowed from the library. It has a chapter on each of the different social media platforms, and it goes into really great detail to understand what each of those platforms are: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. So I definitely recommend this book, A Social Media Survival Guide. And if you don't have a library card, go get one. www.lbpl.org.
Awesome. All right, so now Cameron's going to come up here and talk about, drive a little bit deeper into the safety side of social media.
Sorry. Hold on, let me get that ready for you.
So while they're getting the PowerPoint pulled up, there's a ton of great information that was just put out there. You can see the advantages and the disadvantages to social media for everyone that ever uses it. What I'm going to go over today is how we navigate the downside of social media. So what to do if your students bring something to your attention. How do you report it? How do you get the school officials involved? Who to get involved? So we're going to go over a couple steps that'll help give you something to keep an eye out for, as well as how to make our job easier, the administrator's job easier, to helping you find a resolution for your students. Okay, so these got a little scrambled, but these are just some basic, the most popular apps that we kind of already covered. Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook are all the most used social media platforms, and I'm pretty confident that most people know what those are used for. One that I do want to mention, it's called WhatsApp, and this is particularly interesting for social media use. It's not your typical social media platform, but it works in the way that your default text messaging service would provide on your phone. So if you have an iPhone, your iMessages, you can text, send photos, videos, memes, all sorts of different things back and forth. WhatsApp works the same way, only it's done over an internet platform. So there's no cellular record, no cellular usage for it. But this is, if you are a parent that keeps tabs on your child and maybe reviews their text messages, who they're texting, who they're talking to, you may not find anything in their iMessage folder because they're not using iMessage. They may have this WhatsApp program filed away in a different part on their phone, and they're doing all their text messaging, all their conversations back and forth on that. It won't show up on your phone records. It won't show up if you were to search iMessage. So this is just something to keep an eye out for as a way students are getting around some parental oversight. So some common issues, these were kind of mentioned before, but there's a lot of detailed information in profiles. So teenagers, on average, report one of 3 items on their user page or their home page of their social media account. That's going to be their first name, possibly their last name, the location, i.e. either their city, maybe a school address, or not a school address, a school name, to make them more readily identifiable. They don't set their privacy settings. So every single one of these apps allows you to restrict certain settings on who has access to your accounts, who can see them, who can't see them. Sometimes these aren't even set at all, which means that anyone in the world could search for my name, Cameron Smith, and find an account that I have. Sometimes they are set to private. Maybe that's a understanding that you have worked out and an agreement you have worked out with your student. You can use Instagram, but you have to have a private setting. So they set it to private, but they accept any request that comes through. So anyone that wants to follow them, they hit accept without verifying who they are or even looking at who they are. As mentioned before, posting questionable material. That could be phrases, comments, photos. Anything that you post can and will be used against you at some point, whether it's the exact post you made or it could be something that was altered, enhanced, edited, anything like that. It can come back to haunt you. There's also subtle social media platforms, and this one's very often overlooked. People play games on their phones all the time. A lot of times now in these gaming platforms, the developers have added in a communication piece of it. So Bejeweled, for example, is a common one that everyone knows how, has probably played it at some point. Now they've made it where you can collaborate with other people to get past a tough level, or share lives back and forth between people. All this can be done via a texting app within the social media platform itself. So kids are able to talk a lot of times unmonitored or unfiltered with anyone in the world, regardless of knowing who they are or who they aren't. Other specific platforms that are made, some that are out there, Line, Discord, Twitch is a version of a social media platform that gamers use to stream comments and videos of themselves playing back and forth. All of these are used to allow people to communicate back and forth, and for every advantage, you have a disadvantage. A big difference and a misconception that I see whenever we have an issue that comes to our desk is direct messages versus posts. A post is something, if you have Facebook and you want to post your status, let's say I went out for an Italian dinner tonight and it was delicious. You would type that in and post it, and that would be your status. Maybe you post a picture of a new car that you bought. That would be considered a post. A direct message is a communication that's sent back and forth between two individuals or a group of individuals through the social media platform's texting program. So within Facebook, it's called Facebook Messenger. If you're using it on your phone, it's a completely separate app, but that's how you would communicate, and it works just like a text messaging service. So there's two differentiations between a direct message can only be seen by the person that it was sent to or the people that it was sent to. A post can be seen by anyone who's able to have access to that account. So some common red flags to keep an eye out for. Multiple folders. This kind of goes back to what I was saying about the WhatsApp. Kids and people in general download so many apps on their phone that they try to organize them. At least I do. But multiple folders allows me the opportunity to put an app maybe that I don't want to be found in something that people may not look for. I could hide my WhatsApp in my health folder. And people may not, or parents may not be inclined to look in those folders. It's very easy to create multiple accounts. Chris mentioned earlier about fake accounts or spam accounts. It's very easy to create these, unfortunately, and there's not a lot of oversight. All you really need is an email address from a valid email source and a name. A name could be anything. I could make up a name no one's ever heard of, or take the most popular athlete and create an account and an email to imitate that person. So some different account identifiers that are red flags. One of them is the abbreviation of AMA. It stands for Ask Me Anything. Sometimes you'll see athletes will post an announcement on their Twitter saying, Friday at 3 p.m., I'm going to host an AMA for 1 hour. And what that does is it allows their followers, their fans, to ask them any question that they want to ask of this person. Now, a lot of times there's a moderator who filters those questions, make sure that it stays appropriate and respectable. But students will do these as a way to build credit amongst their friends, street credit. It sets themselves up to maybe bully someone else, because in order to look good and impress these people, they're going to ask me a question about my friend, and I'm going to have to rag on them just so I get the approval of others. T accounts. This is a relatively new thing that's popped up that we see a lot of. It's basically a gossip account. The accounts are created anonymously with the intent of spreading gossip about students, staff at school sites. A lot of times it'll be insert school name, spill the tea, or some variation of that. And it's a way for students of that school to post messages, post photos about rumors that are going around the school. It really enables the cyberbullying, and it's something that site administrators respond to when it's reported to them. Catfishing is another thing that comes up, and it should be a good red flag to keep an eye on. Catfishing is the process of creating a fake account to mislead someone into believing that that person is real. So whether I'm trying to develop a relationship with someone and I mislead them into thinking that I'm someone else with the intent of harming them or committing fraud against them, it can be used for a whole multitude of different things. But this is something else that we experience within our district. And the last one is premium accounts. None of these social media accounts, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, none of them have a premium pay-for service. If you hear your student or you see your student say something about, oh, she has a premium Snapchat, what that means, the word premium, is a advertisement that whatever account that that's linked to is often pushing or peddling sexually explicit material. Oftentimes of the individual who's advertising it, it's a very new type of way to push the sex industry and the prostitution industry. Luckily, this has not been an issue for Long Beach Unified. But it is something to be aware of, that if your child is following or trying to get access to a premium account or says, oh, I need to pay for this premium account, it's leading down something that they probably shouldn't be into. None of the social media accounts have a pay-for service on it. So what to report? You want to report to your school administration anything that's bullying, maybe your student, or your student says, oh, these people are bullying my friend. Any instance of bullying, you want to report to your school administration. Any suspicious activity or inappropriate content that you may come across, whether it's photos, posts, comments, anything like that, if you see something, say something. Now, things that you should report to my office, school safety, or especially to 911, would be any threats of serious violence against students, staff, or school sites. So that would be school shooter posts, anything threatening to do harm against a student. Maybe students were involved in an altercation at school and there's a post later on that says, you know, Johnny better not show up tomorrow, I'm going to hurt him very badly, or I'm going to kill him. Those should be reported to school safety as well as to the administration. If you feel that it's an imminent threat, contact 911 right away. So how to report? We're going to use bullying as an example as we go through this, but you would contact your school admin in person or via email. And when you report it to them, you want to try and capture as many screenshots of the incident as possible and include those screenshots when you're communicating with the administrator. And I'm going to go over why that's an important reason here in a minute. You can also contact school safety. Our dispatch phone number, which is manned 24/7, is listed there. It's 997-8101. And then obviously reporting to 911, that would get you to any agency within the area that you live. So some account basics, and this is going to be why we ask for screenshots. So here's an account. You'll notice that at the very top, it has an account name. It says Sweet Sounds of Kinder. This account name can be anything that that individual chooses. It gives us no information other than there's an account name and a photo. Let's say, for example, this photo is a photo bullying another student. You as parents, if you are seeing this post, 99% of the time, your student is probably friends with the person who posted this, which means you have greater access in this moment than law enforcement or the administrator would have during their investigation. All you have to do is take a screenshot of this post and then do one click on that profile name. That one click leads you to the actual user profile. Under this profile, I now see that this person put their full name, a blog, website that they're linked to, information about them being a teacher, as well as other posts that they've posted. This one click allows us the opportunity to have more access to help our investigation to determine who this individual is than not. And the reason for that is if this is a private account, your son or daughter may have access, I will not. Police will not. The school administrator will not. So we then have to wait for this person to add us as a friend before we can have access. So this would be an example of a private account versus a public account. On your left, this account is private. Anything I do with this account, I have to wait until they follow me. The public account on the right allows me full access to that account no matter what. So sometimes we're lucky and they haven't set their privacy settings. However, most of the time when I go to investigate a situation, the account I'm investigating is private, and now I have to wait until I'm allowed access. So that one click when you go to preserve that post to report it gives us a leg up on any investigation that we have to do to determine how to help the situation. So this is going to be the steps on how to report a actual post. This is using Instagram. However, all social media platforms are the same. Whenever you have a post, on the upper right-hand side, on Instagram, it's 3 dots. On Twitter, I think it's 3 dots as well. Facebook has a little down arrow that you can push. No matter what, it's always on the upper right-hand side of the post. If you were to click on that little section right there, this pops up and asks you what you want to do. Do you want to report it as inappropriate? Do you want to unfollow the account? Do you want to share the account? Maybe it's something that you like and want to repost it. If you click on report as inappropriate, it then asks you why. Is it an inappropriate post? Is it a spam account? Is it something that you know is fake and it is just providing false information? So if you were to click on it's spam, the message that'll pop up will say, thank you for reporting this. We'll look into it for you. If you click on it's inappropriate, you'll get a whole list of things on why it might be inappropriate. And all of these are violations of the terms of use of that specific social media platform. So if you were to click on any of those, it would then ask you maybe one other question depending on what you click on, and then it'll send it to an administrator within the social media platform to review and possibly remove the post or the account. So some tips for parents regarding social media. Communicate with your students about social media use. Just like you would talk to your kids about using drugs or alcohol, you want to have those same conversations about social media. It is something that students can get addicted to and use in harmful ways. We mentioned talking about which accounts are popular at their school or which ones their friends are using. Establishing that back and forth communication will allow them to feel more comfortable coming to report issues to you down the road. Establish boundaries on where it's okay to use social media. Maybe you don't want them using social media in their room at night. Maybe they have to use it sitting on the couch in the family room. That way you can kind of monitor and see what they're doing over their shoulder. Establish common areas, as I mentioned. Setting up electronic device contracts. So setting up a contract to say, hey, I'm providing you with this cell phone. You're going to follow these terms of use of it. If I find out that you're bullying people or you violate these terms, I'm going to take your phone away. Having them sign this contract is them acknowledging that they're receiving this phone, they're agreeing to behave with it, and it gives them real world repercussions if they fail to abide by that. Limit time spent online. Maybe saying between 7 and 8:30 at night is family time. We're going to eat dinner. We're going to watch a show together. put your phones down, and we're going to be phone free. Include yourself in this. You don't want to be hypocritical or say, don't use your phone, but then you turn around and you're on Instagram yourself. It comes across as hypocritical, and you'll have more issues in the long run. Review friend requests prior to acceptance. So if they have a private account and they get a friend request, prior to them accepting it, they have to show it to you and see, oh, do you know this person? Okay, who is it? Explain to me who it is. Ask questions. That way you know that no one harmful is following your child. And then review ways for children to report misuse. If they see bullying, they can come to you. If they don't feel comfortable, how do they go about reporting it to schools? Who do they talk to? Have a plan in place for them on how and when to report items if they don't feel comfortable going to certain people. And then lastly, here's some information regarding phone and device tracking and control. So Google Family Link works across all phone platforms as well as web browsers. It must be downloaded to both the parent device and the child device, but it allows you to view and monitor as well as limit the activity that your child is using on these platforms across their phone in general as a whole. You can set parental permissions for apps to be downloaded. You can remotely shut off their device, as in close down the internet, so they can't open it until the agreed upon time that you have set in your phone. iPhone has a screen time version. This allows you to set time limits. As I said, you can say your phone's going to be deactivated from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. Nothing they do will be able to get around that. You can limit app usage and say you're only allowed to use Facebook for 1 hour a day. That could be throughout the entire day, but it'll track how long they spend on the phone. And once it reaches that hour limit, it shuts down the app so you can't open it anymore. You can also limit who has who they're texting, who they're calling, who can call them, who can text them. Essentially, you can remotely block numbers from contacting your child's phone if you don't want that to happen. And lastly, there's a couple links here. The cyberbullying.org web page provides some really good information on how to recognize the signs of cyberbullying if your child is a victim, as well as how to recognize signs if your child is committing cyberbullying. There's a QR code there that's linked to a shared Google Drive I created. Within there is examples of that the electronic device contract. There's also examples and one-page kind of handouts on how to be aware of your child using social media, as well as just how to be aware of what they're doing on the internet anyway. So feel free to scan that code or use the link above and really get extra access to help with your child. So I'm done there. So I guess we'll go ahead and open it up to questions if we have any.
So I'll pull and moderate. So if you have any questions, you can go ahead and write them in the chat, and we will do our best to answer them.
I think your presentation really resonated with our families. There were a few questions we were able to answer within the chat throughout, but I'll tell you, we had a lot of thank yous and gracias in our chat room. And I'm just checking right now to see if anything new pops up. But I'm sure that our families found that to be very powerful information. I know that I learned a lot of new things by listening. And I'm going to take one last quick look here. No, we're good. Okay. So thank you so much again to Chris Itzen, Myrna Aguilar, and Cameron Smith for joining us and reaching out to our parents with this important information. If you do think of a question later on, we can be reached at parentuniversity@lbschools.net. Again, parentuniversity@lbschools.net. But before we formally close today, I would like to let you know that you should be on the lookout for an email from Parent University this Sunday. On Monday, November 2nd, we will begin a new series of workshops called Mindful Mondays. We will have social emotional learning experts that are excited to share their knowledge with you and bring you mindfulness activities to help you focus your week, and also just to take a calm moment for yourself. I think we all need that right now. This series will be open to all parents, guardians, and caregivers. The email will include a sign-up form, and once you sign up, you will receive a Zoom link, and we really hope to see you there. So again, if you have any questions, we can be reached at parentuniversity@lbschools.net. And I do believe that there's a link down below the presentation in YouTube, where if you would like to sign up or reach the sign up for Mindful Mondays, you can click there now. And today's presentation will be available in Spanish, Khmer, and English within a couple of days on the Parent University YouTube channel. So in closing, thank you for your time.